afternoon. It's been a strange few days for us all, for the club, the players. How has it really affected things with the postponement of that game? Would you have wanted that game against Wolves to have been played on Saturday?
Yes, but of course in a week with Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, this would have been a tough one anyway, coming back Thursday afternoon, stuff like this. But yes, we would have wanted to play, but for the reasons we all know, it didn't happen, and of course we respect that. And now we try to use the time for analyze and training, which makes, I think, absolute sense, or made absolute sense after the game we played at Napoli.
You've had obviously more time to reflect on the result in Napoli. You said after that game that you have to reinvent yourselves. Any further thoughts around that?
Yeah, lots of thoughts, and meeting with the players. I watched the game back plenty of times, and it was a real horror show, to be honest. And so we showed the boys the situation as well. They knew, but then seeing it again makes it really obvious. So that was pretty much. It was the worst game we played since I'm here, and we had a few bad games. We all know that. Everybody remembers probably Aston Villa and some others where we were just not up to speed or stuff like this. But there were always glimpses of us, even in these games. In this particular game, nothing. And so then obviously you have to understand why that happens. I think that's not a common thing, that's more an individual thing, because I think pretty much 8 out of 11 were absolutely below their level, which they usually can play. And the 3 others were not on top level, just a normal game, I would say. And so, but in football it's like this, you sort all individual problems as a team, and that's the first thing we have to do. And that's to follow a common idea again, and that means in everything what we did since I'm here, and everything what teams do in football is based on a really solid, if not nearly perfect, defending, and that's where it all starts, and that's where we had to work on, and that's what we did.
Just finally from me, confidence plays a big part in football. So has the mood been affected around the training ground?
Oh, after that game for sure, but now not in the training sessions, because we have to build it again. But it's clear. But how can you get confidence in a football game? It's like by winning challenges. That's how it is. So if you take specific things for granted, then it's a mistake, obviously. But then these kind of things can happen. And but we all have to realize again that it all starts with defending, with all the people, stuff like this, and that's what we have to give ourselves a chance to celebrate, to win a challenge again. It's long ago that we spoke about these kind of things, but it's still the start for pretty much everything, and that's what we have to do. And if you do that, then you can get some kind of momentum. If you have momentum, then you can play football. But there's no good game I can remember where a team played flawlessly, offensively, like bam, 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 everything worked together, and defensively they were just shambles. Cannot remember it, because it actually doesn't work like this. And that means, but there are plenty of games where teams defend really well and don't play that well offensively, maybe. So it's all based on real defending, and that's what we have to do, and that's what we will have to show. And I'm pretty sure our people will help us with that as well.
In Kennedy?
Yeah, again, obviously it comes down to what you do, but it's an important round of matches in the sense that if you can beat Ajax, and for example, if Rangers get something, then the group becomes all level again, so it can be repaired.
Yeah, but that's not now the one thing we think about. So obviously, we have to show a reaction. Definitely, we know that. That doesn't guarantee a result against Ajax. Ajax is actually, I would say, pretty much in the opposite situation, completely different. Won all their games so far this season. Have again a rebuild, a really massive rebuild, but doing, no surprise, again a really good job. And so that's the opposite side. So thinking about the group now and the situation in the group, I don't think that's now massively helpful. We know about it, so it's anyway clear. But it's a home game in the Champions League, so it's not that we give the points away before we start. But we have to make sure that we play completely different to what we did there at Napoli. And then we will see what we can get for that. It's always like this: if you want to solve the problem, and you only can, and it means that if it doesn't work out in the first place, like immediately, then you think, yeah, that's wrong. Well, then we have to do it again and again and again and again. And even when we realize now all together that we have to defend much better, doesn't mean that from now on we will not make any kind of mistakes anymore, because they are still possible. That's how it is, and then you have to deal with that, all these kind of things. But first and foremost, we have to show that we all have the same idea, and that's tomorrow night, hopefully possible.
And as you alluded to there, Ajax are playing well at the moment, change of personnel, change of manager, but they have been pretty consistent over the last couple of years in the Champions League. Do you see Ajax now as really one of the strongest sides in European football?
Well, for sure, as a club, as a side, I don't know. It's still early in the season. There are other teams who showed obviously a lot of potential and stuff like this, but they are in the Champions League and they belong there. Everybody thinks, when you think about Ajax Amsterdam, you think it's a Champions League. It's a Champions League team. Is it the strongest team in the competition? I didn't see other teams yet, but for us it is, because they are opponent tomorrow.
Neil Jones.
I just want to ask about Naby. There's obviously a bit of uncertainty around what's been going on with him. He was named in the Guinea squad, I think, for the internationals. He has been named in the Liverpool squad. I just wondered if you could clear that up. Do you expect him to go on international duty, and do you expect to see him anytime soon back when?
No, I don't expect him to go on international duty. They expect the return date was somewhere in October. That's why we had to make the decisions. With Ox is the same. And that's why two boys are not in the Champions League squad, because after they expect the return date, which always can differ a little bit with earlier stuff like this. But we had to make the decision now or last week, and that's why we made the decision.
Yes, hello. Dutch television. Jurgen.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm very good today. You as well?
6 days, no game. There are coaches who then say, yeah, it's nice, but it's also, you forget the rhythm.
Which rhythm?
The rhythm of playing twice.
No, we had no rhythm, so we played a really. Did you watch our game? Losing this rhythm would be really cool.
Yesterday I was in the training complex, Access Training Center, and I sensed there also, you have done a lot of talking the last days.
Yeah.
To get the group again together. I'm hearing that in your words now.
Yeah.
Is it true?
Yeah. I have to do something. Can't sit there and wait for how we react. So, is this a situation I wanted? No. But when I'm not, now you're in it, and I rather find it interesting, challenging. A lot of good things happened in the past, and this team showed an incredible kind of consistency over a long period. And I know how this business works, long enough in the business, and I know, and I didn't read a word is not right, but maybe 10 words altogether about what was said about us, but most of the things were fair, probably. I'm not sure right all, but it's okay that you when you're not inside and you watch the game. If I watched the game back plenty of times, and when you watch it back, I would have asked a lot of questions about the people and about the manager and about the specific player, all these kind of things. It's absolutely okay, but obviously cannot be our biggest problem in this moment. So we have to respond, and yes, for this we had to talk, we had to show, and we had to train, and that's what we did.
As Ajax to be prepared for a big storm tomorrow, I guess.
Look, if I don't want to do one thing, is give Ajax any kind of hint or whatever you want for what they have to expect tomorrow night, and don't give anybody a kind of a headline, stuff like this. It's not a time for us to do that. We don't have to create headlines before the game, if positive headlines for after the game, and that's the only chance we have is during the game. I think Ajax expects us to react. I think I'm not sure that they use a lot of the Napoli game. And okay, that's how they can play as well. But if you see how this season, we are just not consistent enough so far, and that's what we have to this consistency we have to build and create again. And it was always the same. It always starts with defending, and that's what we have to do better. And then we will see what we can do of that.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, the club have asked UEFA or requested from UEFA a minute's silence tomorrow night. If it goes ahead, I take it goes without saying that you hope it passes with the respect that it should be.
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do. But I don't think that our people need any kind of advice from me for showing respect. There are plenty of examples where our people showed exactly the right respect. One which surprised me, and I was really proud of that moment, was last year when we played Man United around a very sad situation around Cristiano Ronaldo's family. And that's what I expect. For me it's clear. That's what we have to do. But that's it.
Paul Joyce.
How have you experienced the last days? Because you're a German, you're further ahead of the situation with the Greece. How have you experienced it?
I didn't. If you could now, just for a second, stop making pictures, then I understand the question. You with the camera behind you. Sorry again. Just for 1 second. Please. 5 seconds break with the pictures, then I understand the questions.
How have you experienced the last days with the loss of the Queen in England?
Yeah, I understood that part, but I don't know what it has to do with me being a German and being ahead of what. That part I didn't understand.
No, it's just a general question.
How did I experience it? I was pretty busy, but still got some glimpses here and there. So how I said, before in another interview, I'm 55 years old, and she's the only queen I ever knew, Queen of England. And as far as I know, I don't know her, but the things you can see now, she was a really warm, nice, beloved lady, and that's all I need to know. And because of my personal experience, not too long ago, it's not obviously not about what I think, it's about what people think were much closer to her or felt much closer to her, and I respect their grief a lot, and that's why I will show my respect in tomorrow night with a minute of silence, if it goes through.
Paul Joyce.
When you watch the video back of the Napoli game, there's times where it seems like the players aren't chasing after.
Yeah, you can say, you don't have to tip around.
Does that lead you to doubt the players?
No.
Or what do you think? Do you
Yeah.
speak to them one-on-one in that situation? Or?
Not to all, but to some. So we have a general meeting showing these situations, and they were too obvious to. It was actually not needed to say a lot about it, but of course we did it anyway, or I did it anyway. Then yes, individual talks will happen as well. Do I question the players? No. If you ask me generally, no. In this situation, yes. Why would you do that? Why would we do that? But now I always know it's the situation is like this. We brought ourselves into this situation that nobody could properly react anymore in this game. When James Milner arrives too late in challenges and lose challenges where we usually would win or would be close or stuff, then you know, whoop, something is wrong. And this is we had obvious football problems. I mean, defending, attacking, these kind of things. And what led to these problems is a misjudgment of the situation, probably. I know that the players want to sort the situation. We are not over the moon about our season so far. We don't think we play exceptional football and cannot improve or whatever. So in this game, it looked really like everybody wanted to sort the problem, but by himself. And that gave us never the structure to work together. And then the game can look like this if the opponent is then on top of that a really good one, which Napoli obviously is. They are in a really good moment, played really good stuff. He made it much too easy for them. Anyway, they played a really good game, and yeah, that was the outcome. And in the end, we all agree and know that we could have conceded more goals in this game. There's no doubt. We could have scored maybe 1 or 2 as well, but we could have conceded more, which is really crazy. So yes, these were 4 or 5 days now of absolute truth. So we didn't hide anything, we didn't hold back anything, there was no need for that. We just said how it is, but not to knock the players down or whatever. No, just to make sure where we are now after this game, this is the starting point for us. And now we have to make sure that we sort the problems again together on the pitch. Well, there was no pointing at each other or whatever. That was a good thing about the game, pretty much. That nobody was now crazily good and scored 4 goals, and we conceded 8, and then they could have said, offensively we were good. No, we were not good in all departments. We had 2 or 3 normal performances, and the rest was below the level what they usually do. So that's it pretty much. And again, I understand 100% is a press conference, you're a journalist, I am a manager, you have to answer questions, but my concern is now that we do that we show that tomorrow night. That's all. And step by step, big problems you don't sort very often in life just like this. You have to work on it, and that's what we will do. Injured. Even Robbo knows not 100%, but very late, 93rd, whatever minute, he felt his. No, actually, he felt it the next day only. But yeah, he's out. He's out for at least, I would say, after the international break.
Any update on Carvalho or Curtis Jones?
Curtis not available. Fabio trained yesterday. Normal will be available.
Last one to the gentleman here, please.
Hi, Bobby is back in the national team.
Yeah.
This is the last list before the final list in the World Cup. His name being named again was taken by some with criticism in Brazil, because a lot of people think there are other players that are in better shape now. In your mind, is there any doubt that he is a World Cup material player?
No. No. But I have no idea who is invited on top of that, or which players are left out, and that's why I cannot really answer this question. But does Bobby has World Cup material? Yes, definitely. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.